Welcome, welcome, my friends. Today is a very important day for us because we got a PMP boss in the building. We got our friend Brendan, and Brendan got certified as a PMP. When was that, Brendan?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I got PMP certified on last Thursday, the 17th of November.
Wow. How do you feel?
Relieved, Phil. Long hours, dedication, and now to be able to sit back, relax, and looking forward for the festive season, it's unbelievable. Taking a short break, and then next year we will try something different.
I love it. Well, hopefully you'll give Jessica enough motivation and inspiration to be able to do what you did. She's in our master class.
Try my best.
Yeah, so you were the October masterclass, or was it September?
October, yeah. So it started in end of September and ended on the 16th of October, I think, thereabouts.
Good. And that's exactly what Jessica's going through now with some of our other friends. So hopefully Jessica will be able to ask you some questions before we jump off today. And let's jump straight into your lessons learned. So tell me, Brendan, why did you want to do this? Because a lot of people, they often look at the PMP as laborious punishment. So did you know what you were getting into before you did? And if so, why did you do it?
Well, first, let's start off why project management. So my mom actually called me just before when I told her I registered for your training course. And she said, you know, when you were small, about 13, 14 years old, we walked in this new mall that was constructed. And I told her, Mom, I want to be the manager that builds this one day. So I think the love for it came from there. But I realized in our company where I am now, projects are a little bit all over the show, and being familiar with PMBOK to some extent, I thought, okay, let's see what I can do to make projects run more smoothly. And, you know, being in a corporate environment, you need to have a accreditation to be heard. So,
yes.
So that's how my journey started. I do like project management. I like the interaction between people and serving people.
Wow. So from an early age, that was way early. Wow. What ignited that hunger or that interest?
I think it's got something to do with my dad. He's a civil engineer as well. So I might caught it up from him, or I don't know.
It's in the DNA.
DNA. For it, yeah, definitely. So yeah, I heard about. I actually started my journey in August of this year, and went on to Spotify, YouTube, and I got this guy who sometimes calls himself Crazy Phil. And yeah, just sorry for it. It may sound weird, but I fell in love with how you explain stuff and how you just dumb it down to a level that's understandable. So thanks for that.
Wow, thank you for coming aboard. So you jumped on the Spotify, and there's so many audios, and you decided, okay, let me just come into a class, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was actually shopping around at the time for training courses, and had it narrowed down to 2. And then I drive quite far on every Tuesday of the week. I spend about 6 hours on the road, and that's when I started listening to your Spotify. And I said, no, this is the guy. I know I need to go with him.
Wow.
And I'm glad I did, Phil. Thanks.
I am so glad you did. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And let's talk about the course. So you came on the masterclass. What was your impression on the first day and when you began discovering more of the content?
It's overwhelming, I must say. It's a lot of content, but how you break it down, you know, we've got a saying, how do you eat the elephant? Bit by bit. So, you know, if you just sit down and go through it, it's not that bad. But the way you explain it in such a way that is practical and logical, that is, you know, reading through the PMBOK, it's like a sleeping pill, where you make it fun and interactive. And I think that is the best way to do it, is to make it interactive so people learn on the spot.
Absolutely. And talking about interactive and how you really took this thing to heart, we're going to take a look at something that Brendan built before we get off the call. Is an Excel sheet that takes the entire PMBOK guide and puts it into a very accessible format. It's very technical piece of art. So Brendan, I'm hoping that maybe you can open that before we get off the call today. I know I'm kind of
Yeah,
putting you on the
definitely
spot.
will. I still have it pinned on my Excel, so it's right there at the top.
Oh, that's going to be a real treat. So
I will
let's jump.
definitely work on it over the next couple of weeks, try and improve it a little bit, and then reshare it with you, Phil.
Oh, thank you. That'll be awesome. And I know all of our students will be itching to see the update. So, how many hours a day were you putting into this, and what was your study routine like?
Phil, okay, so my answer is gonna give people a big fright. I'm one of those person. Nothing is too much effort for me. Great, thankfully. So I started my journey in August. Had a good support structure at home, which really important if you do something like this. And I studied about 3 hours a day, between 7 and 10 at night. And then over weekends, I would easily go into 10 hours.
10 hours a day?
So in the week, it will be three hours every day, except Fridays. Fridays is grabbing a cold Guinness, give myself a break. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, I would try and at least do 8 to 10 hours.
In total, though?
No, every day.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's hardcore. That is hardcore.
So, yeah, I think I might have overdone it, but I just wanted to make sure that I did get it.
But the truth is, when I was relating with you in the class, I realized you went hard and you went deep, and it seemed like there was nothing that was too far out for you. So you had a very good grasp of the content. And I think that's what drove you to actually do the Excel file that we're going to take a look at, because it takes a deep awareness and understanding of what's going on to even be able to pull half of that off. And yeah, our friends they're going to be amazed at what they see. But it concurs with what I suspected. I'm like,
Well,
there's no way.
I would say it depends on your method of how you learn. For me, understanding is important, because if you understand a concept, you can get any question, you will be able to answer it. You understand the concept. It's like, yourself, you're a civil engineer. When you did maths, if you didn't understand the concept behind the formula, you won't get it.
Finished, yeah.
I think I applied that methodology to this. But in all fairness, 2 weeks in advance before the exam, I'm like, okay, I've gone through all the content. So yeah, it was a little bit harsh on myself, long hours, but 2 weeks in advance, I knew I covered all the content, and now I can just close gaps where I feel it's necessary. And I would plan that into my studies if I were you. Give yourself that time to be at the relaxed pace and mindset to go and close gaps, because if you have to close gaps the night beforehand, it's not going to work under stress conditions. Absolutely.
And I remember you did long range planning, and you were consistent, and you stuck to it, and it seemed like, oh, November, it's a little ways away, but look, it just worked like clockwork. And you made a little adjustment based on some factors, and you were still on schedule, right on the money.
Yeah, I think my long-term planning is like yourself, Phil. I am a slow reader, so and there's a lot of content for a slow guy to cover. So I had to plan well in advance.
Yeah, but you were very detailed, and I know did you kind of, being the engineer, did you have kind of like a slant towards formulas? Did they act as a shiny object syndrome at all? Did you spend time going through them, or did you just say, no, they're not coming out?
No, I understand them. I apply them on my projects as well. So it's fun working with them. I like figures. It tells a story. If you put it on a graph, on a histogram, or a circle chart, it tells a story. And yeah, so I didn't quickly brush through chapter 7.
Yeah, chapter 7. Yeah, cost. Yeah, that would come naturally to someone in your space. So on the projects you manage in the real world, though, do you do a lot of cost management?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Brandon, let's talk about your exam. So Brandon goes into the exam. Where about did you take it? So you're out in, I don't think we told people where you're at. Where are you right now, location-wise?
I'm based in Dublin, originally from South Africa, moved here 4 years ago. I took it in the exam center. I just heard too much bad stuff about taking it online. So I decided to go with the exam center. They actually canceled on me twice, which was not bad, luckily well in advance. And then I went for a different exam center, and yeah, here we are.
So you open up the exam and question one hits you, and is it like, cool, no big deal, let me answer this and move on? Or did it stop you?
Quite the opposite, Phil. So quite the opposite. So as you know, myself and you had a conversation the previous nights before my exam, and once again, thank you for that. That was just what I needed. Literally 20 minutes after that conversation, I put it down, had hearty food, watched a movie with my wife, and just owned it.
Good man.
So yeah, got into the exam, and I did your mock exams, and I did relatively well there, and I was finished well ahead of schedule in terms of time allocation, and I took that into the exam, which was stupid of me, in all fairness. And I spent a lot of time on the first 60 questions. One, because it did rattle me. Unfortunately, it's not that the first question was so difficult. It's just you want to make sure you hit the first one and you hit it on the nail, because that's your confidence booster. A lot of your lessons learned previously, I listened to them, but I didn't apply the knowledge, is when you flag it, come back, build your confidence as you go on. So that's something I might have neglected, and I would definitely advise flag it and get your confidence up. But anyway, so I spent so much time on the first 60 questions that I was left with just over a minute to do 120 questions. Wow.
Yeah. Did you go for a break at the end of the first 60?
Yeah, I definitely had to. I was rattled. And I'm making it sound worse than it is. It's just my personality. It's not that bad. Just spend your time reading it. But yeah, I needed a break. Went to the bathroom, washed my face, and then said, "Okay, brother, now we need to put pedal to the metal." And thankfully, for some powers from above, here we are.
Absolutely. Let me put you on the spot to make you just put yourself back into exam mode. I want you to take a look at something I'm going to show you on the screen and instinctively tell me typical length, too short, too long. All right, let's play the game.
Now I'm in. Answers, typical length. Question, it's a little bit long. But there are questions the same length as well. But
okay.
I would say 3 sentences instead.
That is so helpful. So if I show you something like this, that would be
yeah, that's overkill.
That's overkill. Yeah. That's good to know.
But the phrases for your answers, that's the correct length.
Okay.
And I found the questions is broken up in the question in the scenario and then the question. And then you spend a lot of time reading through the answers because they're long, and you have to be pedantic about certain words, because like even in your mock exams, you would say the stakeholder management plan, but there's no management plan, it's an engagement plan.
That's true.
And as a person, you always trying to speed read, you read stakeholder and then you just go on, where you need to focus on the words. And that's where I think a lot of my time went into, is making sure that I read every single word of the answers.
Gotcha. That's helpful.
Strike through and highlight didn't work for me. No way. I'm too slow for that. I tried it. It takes up too much time for me.
That is really great feedback, Brennan. Let's take a look at another kind of question, a little bit shorter, but the options a little bit longer. Are these options a bit too long?
The question length, I would say, is good. I would say answer C and D is a little bit long, at the max a sentence. You might get an odd one that was a little bit longer, but at max a sentence.
That is so helpful to know, because what we want people to do is to begin to imagine how they tackle people, process, and business. And when people hear about this exam, they think section 1 of 60 questions is going to be people. Then next 60,
No.
that's not the case, is it?
No.
It's all just mixed up, and
it's mixed up. Yeah, definitely mixed up.
Wow. So at the end of the first 60, how many hours had you spent? 1 hour plus? Like
So
1.5?
I was left with 130 minutes and 25 seconds. I know that because I did the math to work out how much time I have per question going forward. And I had to stick to it. Otherwise I wouldn't have been done. So
Wow.
yeah, I spent almost 100 minutes, so an hour 40 on the first 60, which is
Wow.
I would not recommend it.
So did it get any easier? Was it as though your brain was booting up and then?
I think the difficulty level stayed the same. I think I just managed to deep dive into myself and say, listen, you know your work, get on with it, stop doubting. I did struggle a lot of doubt during the exam. Sorry, I'm going to my emotions. You want more than that. You want specifics, but that's what I struggled with. So
Thank
I
you.
would say if you put in the hours, don't doubt yourself. You will choose the right answer, and it's all about. So I think for me to be able to go into myself and say, listen, calm down, buddy, you've got this, and stick to my time limit, that assisted me not to read and confusing myself about over a question. Read it once. If you don't get it, read it a second time and then answer it. Don't spend time on it and reading, and you're starting to confuse yourself. And that was my struggle in the first 60. Second 60, I said, you don't have that time, buddy.
I get you. It's a struggle, especially, and you know me, I'm a slow reader as well, and I like crossing all the T's, dotting the I's. And in my exam, I found myself doing that excessively. I spent 1 hour on 20 questions on my exam. It's really horrendous. So for people like us, we just need to go in there with that awareness and force ourselves to move on. So when you got into the next set of 60, it was quicker. And how quick did that take you? Was that an hour?
So I did it a little bit over. So I spent about 65 minutes on the next 60. So that left me with about 55 minutes for the last 60.
Wow. How was that? Do you feel under immense pressure?
Yeah, I was. But again, like I said to myself, you're in this situation, just make the best of it and read the question once. If you really don't understand it, read it again, read the answer it, move on.
And did you get done on time? Did it count you out?
I actually managed to finish with 2 minutes.
Wow.
There. Then I went back to one of the questions. I think it was like number 176. Had a quick look at it and I said, Brennan, who are you kidding? Just submit it and get it done with.
Wow. Wow. So at this point, our friend Jessica is free to ask any questions about the experience. And Yolanda, welcome to the party, Yolanda.
Hi, Yolanda.
Yeah, Brendan, I do want to thank you for giving us your time and helping us understand how you prepared and what the test situation was like. So thank you very much for giving back.
You're welcome. I need to, because Phil was giving so much and everybody else was giving me so much while I was studying. So whatever I can do, please.
Can you remind me, did you say, so you took 3 months to study?
Yeah, I started roughly on the 16th of August and my exam was scheduled for the 17th of November. So it's roughly 3 months. Yeah.
Okay. And if I come in with don't laugh at me, but if I were to come in with the expectation of just watching Phil's videos, that's not going to cut it. I have to read the stuff in the documentation that he gives us.
I can't say whether just the videos will work or not, because I've applied a different approach. My approach to this was I started with Phil's audio digest on the road. I was fortunate enough to spend every Tuesday 6 hours on the road for work. So I listened to that, and as I did listen to a chapter, I would go read the PMBOK, meaning that when I read the PMBOK, I have context already.
Right.
You don't wonder, oh, what is this charter they are talking about, or what's a stakeholder? You have context already. So I've felt that made reading the PMBOK a little bit better. I would definitely say, in my case, what worked for me, and maybe you're clearer than I am, but I would say understanding each domain, understanding what happens in that domain. I think that assisted me to be able to pull myself back in the exam and say, okay, they're talking about this, I'm more or less in this domain. Although it's hybrid, I could steer myself. I won't say no, but on the top of your fingers, but I would definitely understand the domain, understand the process, what's happening in the process.
Excellent. Thank you.
Not knowing, okay, this goes into a charter, this goes into a charter. I didn't have questions like that, but I knew, okay, the charter was developed in integration management in this process. So that's my recommendation. And Phil's videos, I would say, is to recap and fill in gaps, you know. So, but you can use either the audio digest or his videos online. But I would say if you don't read the PMBOK and you don't read the Agile, it's going to be tough.
Okay.
So what I did is, and what I learned, memorized, the reason why I did it, I memorized the outputs from every process.
Wow.
The reason for that is not to be like a parrot, but is when I read through a document that like the Immersion book, and he refers to the requirements document or the traceability matrix, I would know, okay, boom, that is coming from there. That's what it's giving me, and that's in the backside of my mind. So it makes the studying, building the picture a lot easier, and that helped me to identify what am I using during the exam.
Sure.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Yolanda.
I'm very excited and happy for you. Hopefully I'll be there soon.
Definitely.
So I know you said you took 3 months, because I know Phil does have this 40 days, which
that's brilliant. Do it.
YouTube on, because I was really trying not to do mine in 3 months, but more so 60 days or less, even if that's possible. Do you feel like the immersion, along with the YouTube 60 days, that actually just gives you like homework assignments that you should, I guess, brush up on, or at least know? Do you find that
I did the 40 days to PMP as well, and the thing there is why it works is it's referring you to the chapters within the PMBOK guide and Agile. So Phil is giving you a lot of context, but it's still your responsibility to go read up on that. You can't just read the Immersion. You have to bring the two together. The Immersion is the best book ever, best thing since sliced bread.
right.
But sometimes there's more to it, a little bit, to close up a gap or see it from PMI's perspective. So whatever Phil adds to the chapter or the day, you need to read in the PMBOK guide or the Agile practice guide to do it. It's there for a reason. Try it and trust it.
Okay, so you said Immersion plus PMBOK. Agile I keep on hand anyway, but like the PMBOK, if I can get away with it, I try not to.
Yeah, and please guys, I'm not saying you have to study 3 months. It's just my journey. It's just who I am and what I did. We're saving up for a house in any case, so it assisted with the savings as well.
Right. Okay.
Good deal, Brendan. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. A lot of people, they go down this rabbit trail of obsessing over ITTOs, like to the point where they become immobilized. They don't take the exam because they think they need to cram every ITTO. What do you have to say? Now you've taken the exam, you're a guy who knew all the outputs of the processes. If you're going to give advice in context about the ITTOs, what would you say?
it's not big on the exam, really, guys. It is not, but I will not neglect it. I will at least know where the odd ones is, like where you have ground rules in stakeholder as a tool. So know the odd one out. You don't need to know what they are exactly bit by bit, but know where they are. That's when it came up in the exam, it was more like, okay, you have to relate ground rules, because like Yvonne's lessons learned, she said there was a ground rule question, and I think I had the same question, and I immediately know ground rules is used in stakeholder and resources. So yeah, it must be people, and then I can adjust my mind to answer it from a people's perspective. More than that, it's overkill, but just know where it comes from. Inputs, again, like I would definitely grasp that a approved change request is going back to direct and managed project work, it's going back to procurement, and it's going back to quality. So just know that process, and Phil is hammering that into you in the class. It's because of him I know that. So and then the outputs, again, like I said, I memorize it just to make my studying easier, to know where, if I read something, okay, I don't wonder about and spend time going back to search for a particular document. But it's more so the project documents that I memorize. It's not necessary. I have an OPA update on the project closure. The ones I did is the EEF's updates in resources, because they are standing out to you. So gamble and say, okay, I might get a question on that because they are the odd ones out. But again, don't worry to memorize all 155,000 of them. It's not, just know the odd ones and more or less understand where they're applied. That's it. It's not coming up in the exam.
Wow. First of all, I'm so proud of the articulation of those little nuances you mentioned. Approved change requests going to direct to manage, OPA updates coming in. I mean, you ate this thing, man. You drank it, you ate it. And the fact that you remember it even after the exam is even more, it's really encouraging. You might want to look into a career as being a mentor for PMP, seriously, because for you to grasp that level of detail, you're right up there. I'm telling you, there are a lot of instructors that don't know that and don't know what you know right there. So if there's ever an opportunity for you to, I don't know, maybe begin a channel to begin inspiring others as a way of giving back, I encourage you, man.
I would definitely down. Actually, my next task for the new year is looking into the videos you sent me, Phil, regarding Agile. Sorry, everybody, I'm a structural engineer. So just to give you context, Phil sent me some videos applying Agile in the construction industry. So I want to go into that, see how I can adopt that and maybe build out from there within our company, or somewhere else where I can actually fully practice project management.
I love it. You're going to go places with this stuff, man. Let's talk about the next elephant in the room. A lot of people say, well, PMI said it's 7th edition, so I'm not going to read the 6th. What do you have to say about the knowledge area factor on the exam?
Well, guys, 7th editions, I haven't touched it. I haven't read it. Phil gave me literally 2 sentences the night before. Thank the Lord. He did. Student syndrome and Parkinson was in the exam there, and that was it from what I can tell. But in all fairness, I don't know what's in the 7th edition. I will start reading it now as a bedtime story just to sleep. And the knowledge areas, yeah. So it was a lot of hybrid. I know the question is coming, but it was a lot of hybrid, and they mixed up iterative, especially iterative, with predictive. And I would say you need to know the knowledge area, what's happening in that knowledge area, and the processes involved within the knowledge area. Just understand at high level. This is what, like Phil is hammering on it in the masterclass. Know your key benefit of the process. Know it and understand it. But don't, I wouldn't say memorize it, understand it. Make a distinction between manage and monitor. One tip I want to give you guys, there is manage is execution. It's not monitor. No managed process is in monitor and control. That's something I realized, and it helped me so much.
That is so good to know. Thank you for that, Brennan. Let's talk about what jumps out at you if you're going to choose the top 3 knowledge areas to based on your experience. I know everyone's experience is different, but if you're going to choose the top 3, what would they be?
Quality, procurement, communication, resources.
Wow.
Oh, and stakeholder. Those 5 was all over.
Wow. So I mean, I know you're in the world of
with a little bit of risk paper and then some cost and then some schedule thrown into it, but a lot of quality, stakeholder resources. Then I would say second in line was definitely procurement, and third in line communications.
Wow. So would that be like the negotiating part of procurement, or would that be more like the managing of the contract and the conflict that could ensue, or that kind of thing?
Like the one question, I know I signed it.
And we're gonna keep it mega high level,
High
just to
level,
keep it above board.
it would be in the region of you just received your bid documents back, the proposals, and something was wrong with that because of inflation. So what do you do next? Do you rebid? Do you just sign a revised contract? What do you do?
That kind of stuff.
That,
Okay,
that
so not
was
the details.
literally more or less a summary of a question.
Thank you for that. So not the CPIF, FPA, FPIF.
There was I had one question which had stated a scenario, and you had to choose between a fixed term, and that's one of the 5 I told you about, Phil, in the end of the exam. At the end of the exam, they gave me 5 snacks for the guys that went to memorize everything, and said, "Hey, buddy, okay, you memorize a lot of stuff, so yeah, you are 5 questions."
There's some freebies.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So let's talk about what happens when you hit that end button, and then what happened next after you hit submit.
Wow, what happened on the screen or what happened to me?
Both.
I just started praying. I said it has to be one, because I've taught so many people I'm writing. I've been putting off parties and friends and all that for 3 months. So what would my excuse be? But in all fairness, you submit it. It's quite cool after 60 questions, and I'm glad Yvonne told us you get a summary sheet of all the questions, of all your unanswered and flagged and highlighted. You can see them, then you submit that, and you have to hit submit twice or no twice, so it actually goes through. After that, there's a little circle on the screen, and then boom. I didn't get a green or a red screen. I got a paragraph, and I'm like, what is the paragraph saying? And I read everywhere, but I couldn't see congratulations because I was rattled and straight. After the, I think, 4th attempt, I managed to find the congratulations.
Wow. I am so proud, and I am excited. And now we're going to take a look at this invention of yours. So I'm going to make you the co-host, if you can bring it up on the screen, so that everyone sees the Frankenstein that you've he's created.
I will send you version 2.0 one day.
I would love that. I would love that. Yeah. And this, it seemed like it was part of your studying, like part of your studying was getting more immersed. And what you did, there's just no way you can do this without getting immersed, as our friends will see.
It's like I said, for me, it's understanding what you're doing. I just don't want to apply a formula and don't understand how it works, because that's where tailoring comes in. If you understand it, the chi, what's that? For chi, then you apply it, then you understand it, and then only you can tailor it. Yeah. So, and I think that's the mindset I'd apply to it. But peeps, please don't think you have to study 400 hours and 3 months, day in and day out. It's just my journey. The biggest advice I can give you is 2 things. Hold yourself accountable so, you know, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. You hold to your schedule, hold to your time you're spending on it. And then the other one is ABC, apply bottom to chair. That's the thing. So,
Thank you.
share. Can you guys see my screen?
We see it. Very intricate breakdown of some stuff.
Yeah, so during my studies, this was about 2 months in, a month and a half to 2 months in, reading through the Immersion book and all the documentation. It was always wondering, where is the development approach coming from, or where is the scope baseline coming from, and where's it going? And instead of go searching for it in the book, I decided to create this sheet. So I found a couple of errors in it, but it works fine for now. It helped me at least. So the gist of it is, on the left-hand side, we've got the 10 knowledge areas with the relevant chapter number. Okay. And then next to it, we've got processes, the process group it belongs to, and then what is the origin, input, and update. So for example, the project charter is an output there. So I've got a little legend there, just when I get confused, I can go look there. It's an output from the initiating process in the develop project charter within the project integration management knowledge area. I can also track it and see, okay, but it's also an input in defined scope. It's an input into plan schedule management, and it's an input to wherever.
It's a long time. I don't think I've ever.
Got it.
So, and this is a tab for all the project management plans, and you can see it goes all the way to the stakeholder engagement plan. A handy thing about it is you can filter it. So we can say we want to look at quality management. You can filter it, and it gives you a summary of what is coming out from quality management and where is it going. So you can also filter it by processes, you can filter it by process group, or you can filter it by origin, input, or output. Then I have made a similar sheet for project documents. So you can, it's the same, apply assumption log as an output from initiating within the develop project charter, and you can track it and see, okay, it's going into planning for defined scope. It's updated in monitor and control schedule. So yeah, and this helped me to study, just to be able to track where the documents are going. And that's what I said is, I don't necessarily know exactly what needs to go into each document, but I understood where are they coming, what's the purpose. And I found that made my studies a little bit easier, and I was able to recognize some key phrases or things within the exam to steer me in the correct direction. The next thing I'm working on for is the unique outputs and inputs, and hopefully I can apply my mind a little bit to bring it into the same easy accessible format I have the document. So once it's done, I will send it on to you.
Wow.
And then in the beginning, there's just a list of all the project documents and a project management plan and the business case.
How many hours would you say this took you to do?
I think I spent about 2 evenings on it, about 6 hours in total.
Wow, that's quick though. That's very quick, because this to me looks like 40 hours of work.
No, it wasn't. Fortunately enough, it wasn't that long. And please, like I told you previously, please share it, help the people out. All I would ask is, please do not unmerge these. There's a special formula applied. So if you unmerge it, you won't be able to filter it again. So, and I will keep it updated and share with Phil as I develop it. And it's my way to say thank you to Phil and everybody that supported me through this journey. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
It's mind blowing. It's just the way you conceived how to present it. I've never seen this stuff presented this way. So well done. I'm so blown
Yeah,
away
because
by it.
in the back of the PMBOK, in I think one of the annexes, I think X2 or table or something, you get a table where they list all the different tools and techniques and documents where they are, but it's only figures and you can't see a picture. And I said, that's not helping me. I need to be able to trace it and see where's it going. And because I don't need to read, I can literally just look at the color and say, okay, scope management is updated in manage project knowledge. So that's where the idea came from.
It's just mind blowing. I'm so grateful, Brendan. And like you said, I will definitely be sharing this with everyone else. But I appreciate you giving us so much time and so much value today. Are there any other questions before we jump off the call and let Brendan go back to his life after the PMP? Well-deserved life after the PMP.
I do have a question, one more question. Did you study on your own, one, and two, I know we have like the daily, basically, I guess, check-ins where people actually assist us. You know, we can ask questions. Did you join any of those groups or did you study?
So your first question, did I study alone? Yes, I did study alone, but I was in constant collaboration with Phil. He's a champ in that regard. If I had a question, I would ask him, and he would send me hundreds of videos and advice on it. It's really appreciative, and that's why he's the best mentor there is for this. And unfortunately, on the daily scrums, it was a little bit too late for me, so I couldn't attend. It was convenient for American time, but I'm in Dublin, so it started at 12. But from what I heard on my fellow classmates or colleagues that took the masterclass from me, it's very helpful and definitely recommend it. Although I wasn't fortunate enough to join one,
Right.
the feedback I had is it's exquisite.
The time zone difference just doesn't permit.
Yeah.
You know, like right now for Brendan and I, it's 8:44 at night, and for you folks, the day is just kind of midway, or just rolling into the second part of the day. But we're done. So yeah, it was hard for him to jump in for those. But he was on the classes. He didn't miss classes. He was right on, and he kept in touch with me all throughout the process. Great deal, Brendan. Any final questions, or if you're going to leave us with one final thought, Brendan, what would it be?
If you can dream it, you can achieve it. If you want it, you can become it.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Well,
Just
thank you so much.
Believe in yourself, trust Phil's process, and like I told everybody else, listen. That's the most important thing. Listen and understand what you're doing. Don't just memorize it. That will make the difference.
Thank you, Brendan, and thank you to our friends Jessica and Yolanda for joining us. And we'll hopefully see Brendan again.
Definitely.
With an episode.
Thank you.
Congrats again.
Thanks,
Cheers.
guys. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.